this is Jo, and I am so excited to share this vlog with you of my trip to Arizona. My husband and I usually like to take trips outside of the US. We like to go to Europe or Mexico or the Caribbean. And we just decided that we are missing the beauty that the United States has to offer. And we wanted our children to also see the beauty here in the US. And I am a US citizen, but I am not originally from the mainland. I am from the Virgin Islands. And so a lot of the places here in the mainland US I have not seen. One of them being the Grand Canyons. And so we thought it would be a great idea, spring break for the children and myself, because my husband saw it already, to visit Arizona. And one of the places that we wanted to go was the Grand Canyons. And so here is just a vlog about my trip to Arizona. It was amazing. So without further ado, let's get started. So we arrived in the afternoon after a over 5 hour trip to Arizona. We landed in Phoenix and we picked up our car and we headed straight to Sedona. Let me tell you, by the time we got to Sedona, it was pretty dark. So we could see mountains, but it was dark. So, by the time we left Phoenix, which was nice and warm, and we were driving towards Sedona, it got colder and colder. But it was a beautiful ride, and we ended up staying at the Hyatt Residence Club in Sedona, Pinyon Point. And it was a beautiful, beautiful place. It was a 1-bedroom with a kitchen, dining room, living room with a fireplace. And it was just beautiful, very Southwestern style. So it was really good architecture that I've never really seen before, because I haven't really been to Arizona or the Southwest before. But it was beautifully done. Love the landscaping. Again, different. You're seeing more rocks and stone and cacti, but it was beautiful. Besides the fireplace that I really loved, I loved that there was a massive jacuzzi tub in the master bedroom. And yes, I definitely used it. When I used it, I was so excited. I found this apothecary, beautiful place that had really good products. And one of the products was this prickly pear mineral soaking salt that I brought home with me. I'm so excited, and I used some of it when I took a nice long bath in that awesome jacuzzi. It was so nice and relaxing. The next day, after we went to bed exhausted, I woke up really early in the morning because I was still on East Coast time, and it was so beautiful outside. The sun was rising, and I could see the beautiful red mountains and hills that Sedona had to offer. Now, I don't know if I said it before, but the hotel that we're staying at was really, really close to the downtown area. There were shops and restaurants, and let me tell you, the galleries, you go to places and there's in the north, and there's Dunkin' Donuts in every corner, or Starbucks in every corner in certain places. Well, there were galleries in every corner, so many different galleries. You go into 100 and you haven't even hit the top of the galleries there. I was able to buy a couple of things for my friends from this gallery, from one of the galleries that we went into, but I love the location of the hotel. So the next day after we got in from Arizona, we ended up going on the Pink Jeep tour. And let me tell you, it was my first time going on it. I highly recommend it. The Pink Jeep tours actually originated in Sedona. The story is, according to the driver, this guy was a realtor, and he had this Jeep, and he would take people out, and they might, back in the day, there was not a lot of people living in the Sedona area. But what they really enjoyed, the people that he took out, what they really enjoyed was his driving around and like giving them a tour of Sedona because it was so beautiful. And they would tell their friends, they're like, we didn't buy anything, but you should go and have this tour with this realtor. And he ended up switching and creating the tour. And I think his wife is the one that suggested turning it from just from regular Jeeps into painting it pink and calling it the Pink Jeep Tour. I think that there was a name before, but I just don't remember. But I loved that story and the fact that it actually originated in Sedona. So we ended up going to the Pink Jeep Tour. It was just us, me and my family. There's different kinds of terrains that you can go on, and I chose the mild. And the mild was still rocky and hilly and bumpy. My son was like holding on for dear life. It was like an open air Jeep. And my daughter had a blast. It's so funny, their personalities definitely show out. He was holding on to like the handrails, like so tight. And my daughter was like, woo, hands in the air, like she was in an amusement ride. But it was wonderful. It was kind of a reminder of living in the islands and going to the beach in the back of the truck. It kind of reminded me of that, or going to see my uncle who lived on a dirt road, because we were on a lot of dirt roads in Sedona, going to the ancient ruins. So we ended up choosing the ancient ruin tour, the archaeological tour, where we got to see Sedona cliff dwellings, where the Sinagua people lived for 700 years. It was really, really interesting. We got to see painted pictographs and carved petroglyphs, and the driver was really quite knowledgeable, and it was like a beautiful day. It was like by the time we got to the cliffs, it was maybe 58 degrees, and just walking around, I loved it. So I love going to places where people were there for hundreds of years. And I love the story of them living there, and I can imagine it, seeing some of the ruins that are left there and some of the carvings that they had and pictures, and just imagining them going there and living there. It was calm, it was serene, and just driving out to the ruins was just beautiful as well. I highly, highly recommend it. That after coming back, we had lunch. We went to a local Mexican place that the tour guide recommended, and it was delicious. We ended up doing some sky gazing. My husband loves anything to do with astronomy and sky gazing, and this was like the prime place to see all the beautiful stars in the sky. And so he was really excited. He's the one that did a lot of the planning of this trip, and I'm so happy that he was able to get to do something that he really wanted to do. It was very, very interesting. The only downside to when we went, I'm so happy that we did not go the week before, because it was really cloudy and snowy, so you wouldn't have been able to see the constellations and stars. But the night that we went to see it, which was the Tuesday, the moon, it was a full moon, and so the moon was so bright we didn't get to see the stars as bright as it usually is, but it was still beautiful. We still had a great time. Yes, the time that we went to in March and the day, it was super, super cold, but the tour guide was really, really prepared. He had seats for us. He had blankets upon blankets upon blankets. He said, I can cover you in blankets, and he could. He was so prepared. One of the main things that I really loved is that he had like a chicken as a pet, and he was kind of like walking around in the car, and so we got to see his chicken. It was not part of the tour, but he was so nice enough for us to like see his chicken, which is it was so cool and unusual. I loved it. But he really painted a picture of the sky, night sky, and how different people in different parts of the world many years ago looked at the same sky and created almost similar stories, which was beautiful about the night sky. Of course, you hear about the Egyptians and the Greeks, but also the Native American, was it Honanki people, and the Navajo people, the people that are living in Arizona. They had the same sort of stories. It was slightly different, but it was the same story of warriors and heroes of the night, which I thought was fascinating. My husband loved it. He could have stayed there all night. My body was frozen by the time I was finished with that, but I'm so glad we got to do it. It was a great experience, and I highly recommend it. All these things I give 5 stars, so I give that 5 stars. I will definitely have the names of the tours that we went to on the screen so you can see it. All of our tours, most of our tours came from Viator. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it was bought over by TripAdvisor. But Viator is a place that online place that we usually go to go for tours all over the world. We have used it in Italy, we have used it in Spain, we've used it in Mexico. It is a great place to go to get tours, food tours, cultural tours. Okay, so the next day, which was Wednesday, it was another beautiful day, and we had a Horsen adventure tour. It was called Horsen Around Adventure in Cottonwood, Arizona. And let me tell you, it was scary. I was really concerned about it because it would have been my first time on a horse. It was one of my bucket lists. I really wanted to go. And my son and I were really scared. My daughter was so excited. She loves all this outdoor stuff. She loves horses. And so this was awesome for her, but scary for me and my son. So we drive about 45 minutes to Horsen Around Adventures, and we were met by this real life cowboy. I mean, everything, his clothes, his weathered face, his hat. I mean, he had been a cowboy for like 45 years. I was scared, but I was so glad to see him because he made us feel comfortable. Like, he knew all about horses. He said for 10 years he rode on horses. That was the only thing he rode on in Oregon. So I know that he knew his stuff, and I explained to him I wanted the mildest horse out there, and he found me Willis, which I loved. And he just showed us what to do and took care of us. He was able to like calm my son down because my son was really scared, and he was able to put him at ease. But let me tell you, I really want to paint this picture. It was not some calm, relaxing pathway. It was up and down terrain, like filled with rocks and dirt and scrub. We were getting poked by cacti and plants because we were so close. There was cliffs on sides. I was like, wow. So the farm was on the top of the hill, and to start the tour you had to like go down this terrain. And let me tell you, I'm like, if I could do this, I can do anything. And I was able to do it. And it was beautiful. It was like an hour and a half up and down the terrain. Gorgeous. My Willis, my horse, was awesome. It was just a beautiful, scenic, peaceful tour, if we weren't, of course, on a cliff or nearly falling. But it was good. My horse felt sturdy. I knew I was in capable hands. He was the midwife for his 2 children while they were living in tents out in the wilderness. And so I'm like, if he could do that, if anything happened to me and I fell off my horse, he'll be able to take care of me. So I felt really comfortable and safe in his capable hands, which was really good. And I think it might have been one of my favorite things that I went to in Arizona. And it's off my bucket list. I've ridden a horse. I can take it off right now. But I definitely wouldn't mind doing it again, especially if I had a really good, capable tour person and the horse was tame and calm. But it was one of my daughter's favorite things that we did in Arizona. She loved it. That night, guys, we decided to continue this whole cowboy thing, and we went to a cowboy dinner. It was called the Chuck Wagon Supper and Western Stage Show at Blazing M Ranch, and it was awesome. It was great. My husband was really excited because he remembered when he was a little boy going to things like that, and he wanted us to experience it. But it was a small town that they created. They had the jail, they had a bull that you can ride, a mechanical bull, I should say, that you could ride, which was kind of cool. I didn't want to, and the guy was like, come on, you could do it. And I was like, okay. But I'm glad I went on it. They had axe throwing, they had, you could shoot BB guns, there were stores, there was an escape room, which my daughter really liked. There were just so many different activities that you could do. There were also drinks that you can buy while you waited for the dinner. It was a really, really good experience. We also took a picture, which was really good, like a cowboy picture, where you dress up and you have a gun and you just pose. That was awesome. So we have that as our family picture up in our house right now. That was really, really cool. Supper was delicious. We had ribs and chicken, and we had a really good show. There was singing, really good band playing.
She walked with glassy birds. She held her head up high. She had that sparkle at her feet and that twinkle in her eye. She smiled at me as I wandered by. She said, hey.
Really nice. Had a story in there with the singing. It was a really good entertainment. I would highly recommend it as well. It was just really cute. The children had a blast. I think that was also in Cottonwood, Arizona. So Thursday, the next day, was the big day of heading to where? So definitely tune in next week, and I hope you enjoyed part 1 of my Arizona trip to Sedona.